keep going with this series. So what I was saying is um um so when I was a young person, like a young male, not quite an adult, but a lot of what an adult male, that I wasn't legally an adult yet. I was interested in in I wanted to have experiences to help to bring back to some of when I was a when I was a very young boy. I was extroverted. Like I was around most of my family. Like with the experience, a lot of my family had a lot of shortcomings, and they were trifling, for lack of a better word. A lot of my family, like on my American side, but a little boy doesn't know that. A little boy actually just feels the energy. So actually, I think that a child, like when I was a boy, I could see a lot of the bullshit that my family members were. I could always see bullshit. Like even sometimes my mom would tell me stuff about me when I was little. She's like, "Yeah, you could always." She didn't say it in these terms, but she was like saying you could always see bullshit, because she'd remember that sometimes like she'd be saying something to me, and I'd say, according to her, I'd say, "Why are you angry?" And she wasn't talking about nothing angry, but I could just see that this is an angry thing. That this is an angry being talking to me. This being talking to me is angry. That's how it was to a child. And then I remember I had some friends that I grew up with, and they were like they were like when we had got to be older, some of my friends were pretty savvy. But my friend was like, "Hey man, you're getting better at reading people." He said you're getting better at that. And then I had a friend in a church setting, like a influential person in the community where I was at, like in the schools, the public schools, but then also the church, the the and then between that, this person was. And then at one time, I remember I was at a gathering with him and his, like, some other young people from the church and his wife, and I was talking to him in the hallway about like what I perceived as just the strength in them. I wasn't looking for it, but I could perceive something of the strength in these people. And it's from some of the I had some very challenging experiences that would these experiences were they were such that they would change the way that a person presents themselves even when sober, and it make person that hasn't had that experience before wonder about that person. Like, like some people would say that you would look, so like I'm not advocating for substances, but some people would say that when you're under the influence of a substance, you look crazier than hell, like that. But if you've actually experienced a substance before, and then you perceive people that have never experienced a substance before, at any like any manner of adult that's actually never experienced a substance before, they actually look crazier than someone on a substance, someone that's never been on a substance before, because they're that serious, they're that sure of themselves, while also being that ignorant of what it can mean to exist, that they actually look crazy. And then were you under the influence of something, and you see someone that is not under the influence of something and has never been under the influence of something, that would actually look crazy, make it wicked and mean, would be someone that's never touched a substance before. But I and I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm the understudy of like Cheech and Chong, or I'm related to Bob Marley. I'm not trying to sound like that, but I'm just trying to sound like that actually different substances, according to uh more the YouTuber Morris Brooklyn, a stronger word would be entheogen, plant, animal, and maybe mineral substances that can change a person's experience of themselves, to a benefit and to a detriment, and also the detriment can work to a benefit and the benefit can work to a detriment. The skill of that would actually have to be approached as an art, according to Nicholas Nassim Taleb, and that if someone's calling themselves a medical scientist, you should run from them, especially if they have a blunt instrument that they want to apply to you, no less than your damn brain. Like with some of these shrinks that want to. I actually don't know what that word shrink mean, but I can just feel what that might mean about someone that actually wants to change your brain. So you went to all these little fancy schools, and you went to all these little stupid parties with all your little stupid friends that think you're so damn smart that you go to these expensive schools, and then you get around to reading a couple books well enough to pass a test that you probably didn't get all straight A's on there, or even know the entire scope of that book, or spend enough time with it, because you were just highlighting it and looking for the main points. But now they want to touch your brain and change your brain. That's like these professionals. But um but so to actually to approach entheogens in such a way that it would benefit yourself or others, it would actually have to be approach, or even what's called medicine. You have to approach that as an art to actually have the exactness, the fineness, and the subtlety and the skill to manage something like that. You'd have to be an artist. Like my brother is a visual artist. He doesn't talk much about it, but all you ever see him do is do art. And if you saw some of the things that he can do with art, or just what he can do with art, he's actually like that in person. Where like if you ever, I've been in some difficult situations where I needed transportation instantly. I needed it right then and there instantly as a matter of like as a matter of welfare and safety. I needed transportation instantly. And then my mom is like very clever. Like she can do like she's good at like certain roles, like what she does for work. But it can be hard for her just to figure out like how to send a text message or to find out how late something is open on Google. What do you press that? How do you? Are you sure about that? Now I can't act like she's not smart because a lot of times I wouldn't even have a damn phone turned on if it wasn't for her support. But still, it can be hard for her to figure that out. But if she's like, "Oh, you're where? You need a ride right now? Let me tell your brother about it." He'll have a ride up there in 2 minutes. Like so sometimes so imagine you had imagine you were afraid for your life and you called what you thought of as the most outstanding, reputable, and awesome authority in your area to get help, and you didn't hear back for 45 minutes while you were still in a dangerous situation, and the only time you got any response is when you called, and then maybe like a couple hours later they call to find out if your ass is not dead yet, or if maybe you have some information so that we can look into finding out who may have put you in danger, but they weren't actually trying to save you as you were in danger. They were more so just trying to figure out, is your ass still alive, or can we maybe potentially follow up behind who may have put you in danger, but while you're in critical danger there was no help to be found. But then I call my brother, and in less than 2 minutes there's an answer right there for you. Boom, don't got nothing to say about it. He's just exact like that. So if you had anyone that had to do anything with medicine that you would need help with, that type of skill and exactness and subtlety and judgment, that'd be actually a better application of the word judgment than what that word conveys. If someone like him were to approach something like what we call medicine, you might actually have an outcome of healing. You would actually have the purpose of what you're doing about. You want to help someone, get someone like an artist, like a visual artist, like my brother, to go about helping a person, like physically, or like what someone would need help with, and he could achieve that, I think, as an artist. So it'd have to be approached as an artist, something like entheogens. But I was actually trying to learn and come to, and grasp what I had experienced even as a young person, and then I talked to one of my father's friends, and I was like, why is it that some people they can engage? That why is it that different substances affect people differently, and one can have a person like dang near pulling their hair out, and another person can seem so cool and at ease. And he's like, that's where they're at existentially. There is an exit, like what it means to exist, but also what it means to experience existing and reflect upon what it is to experience existing is existentialism. That's a range of what's called philosophy. According to Osho, the etymological meaning of the word philosophy is loving wisdom. Philo, I think that's like love and Phia, or Phia. Philo might be wisdom and Phia is like love. According to Osho, that's what that means. But then existentialism is a range of that in appreciating what it is to exist, and just by being aware that there is such a thing, there's an actual school of thought. There's a body of thought of people who have looked into this, of what it is to exist and appreciate existing. That alone changed it for me. And then so I thought that might be, so you got someone that, like, you got two people playing around with some grass that came out of the earth, and one of them is frightened by the experience and terrified by the experience, and one of them is enjoying it and riding it, because you do actually have to ride it to stay coherent. That what might allow a person to ride it is actually to fathom, to actually have the confidence to fancy and actually put together pet theories. So dang, I'm feeling like this, but did you ever look at the ceiling like that before? Like, don't those kind of look like stars? But my dad said that if you look at something that detailed too much like that, it can hurt your eyes. So I should probably stop looking at it like that. But dang, did you look at the floor? I wonder what year they. I wonder what these trees were. What part of the country these trees were before they got like that.